First, we'll be starting off talking about the WNBA. They released their schedule today. Well, this week they released their schedule, and there are a lot of different things to address with the schedule, but not only the schedule, but different things that are occurring this season that are brand new. So, first, I want to start off with the 44 game schedule that's slated for this year. Typically, they play 40 games. This year, they have expanded to 44 games, which will be very exciting. But there's questions there as well as far as the attrition of the game. I'll get into that later. Um, but also, I want to get into like a couple of open day matchups that'll be exciting to watch. Um, so on opening night, there will be the Dallas Wings against the Minnesota Lynx. So most people believe the census pick for the draft this year is Paige Buchers, who is projected to go to the Dallas Wings. The Dallas Wings have the first pick this year in the draft. So most people are projecting Paige Buchers to get that first pick. Oh, well, to be the first pick in that draft. So they're slating her to go to the Dallas Wings. And the Wings will be playing the Minnesota Lynx, who are the runner-up champions to the New York Liberty from last year. So it'll be Paige Buchers and Nafisha Collier in the headline matchup. A very exciting matchup, especially to start the season. I thought it was an interesting pick because I thought they would have put Caitlin Clark on that opening night, but she is playing that second night, which I'll get into right now. So the second night, they start off with a bang. So it's Chicago Sky against the Indiana Fever, which we get to see the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark rematch. I know a lot of people probably getting tired of that matchup, but that's their Magic Johnson, Larry Bird type matchup that they sell tickets off of and garner a lot of views. So that's a matchup that they want to start off right away with that one. I'm surprised that's not the opening night matchup. But like I said, they wanted to showcase, I guess, Paige Buchers the first night against the defending champions. Interesting matchup, but nevertheless, it'll be an interesting one to watch. And also on that second night on March 17th, you have the Aces against the Liberty, which is a matchup from the championship from about 2 years ago. So you have not Angel Reese, but you have Asia Wilson against the defending champions. It's going to be a good one. You know, you have Brianna Stewart playing. You have Jonquel Jones, and you have Sabrina Ionescu. It'll be slated full of stars that second night. I definitely will be tuned in on the second night on May 17th to watch all those matchups. But those are some of the matchups I'm excited to watch at the beginning. There's a lot of matchups throughout the seasons, of course, but for time constraints, I'll keep it down just to those 2 nights of activities or action that I look forward to. But also this week, actually tomorrow, the Golden State Valkyries, which is the expansion team, will be holding their expansion draft tomorrow. So it's kind of exciting. So from what I've read, they get to pick players off of each team, but each team, other than the Golden State Valkyries, can protect 6 players on their teams. So the other 6 or 8 players on their team are free game for them to draft or negotiate with, depending on their situation. So I've never seen an expansion draft live and in person. Most of the NBA teams were already established. Well, they all were established when I started watching. So I'll be able to see the expansion draft and see how that process works. It looks like it'll be very interesting and very unique to see. But in addition to that, we'll get used to those expansion drafts because next year, Toronto and the Portland will also have an expansion draft for their teams because they're new teams. And it's the first expansion draft actually since 2008 when Atlanta Dream did their expansion draft. So it's been 16 years since they expanded. So it's very exciting for the league to not only expand, but to grow because this is showing growth that they can add, 3 new teams in a matter of a couple of years. Patrick Mahomes also talked about possibly bringing WNBA to the Kansas City area, which I'm very excited about as well. Hopefully, we can see that in the next 2 or 3 years. The league is growing. They're getting more fanfare. They're getting these key matchups, these celebrities, these marquee um, celebrities at the games. So it's going to be exciting to see where they can grow to. It's similar to the NBA. The NBA wasn't always this big league that always had to compete with the NFL, which was always a fan favorite. Um, NBA kind of grew into a global brand and was able to expand beyond imaginable what they envisioned when they first started up the league. So, with this 44 game season, it's going to be interesting to see the attrition of the game. Most people say, "Oh, it's just 4 games," but 4 games is more wear and tear on the players, possibly more injuries and more people sitting out. So it's going to be a matter of who can stay healthy as any sport or any season goes. But these extra 4 games, it's going to be interesting to see how people adjust to it, how people adapt to the new situations, because unfortunately, the WNBA doesn't have the same resources as the NBA or NFL. And those players still stay hurt as well, even though they have access to all of this different trainings and all these different programs to keep their bodies more in shape and more healthy throughout the season. So with the WNBA lacking resources, it's going to be interesting to see if people can stay more healthy. Um, and you'll probably get to see more players that you wouldn't see before get showcased, as similar as we did last year, especially with the Chicago Sky. Players were just dropped in left and right. I know Angel Reese had the surgery toward the end of the year. She missed the last 5 games. So you got to see players that you didn't usually get a chance to see. And unlike the NBA, there is more parity in the WNBA with more talent. So I don't think they'll drop off as much. You might have people, the casual fan, who might not, be more attracted to the game if one of their top players go out. But for the avid fan or for the fan who understands the game, they'll understand that they'll get to see more players and players who shined in college, uh, get a chance they didn't usually get. So that 44 games is going to be very, very crucial to the health of players this year, and it's good. And I think it's an experiment to see if what they want to do. Because if it turns out good this year, I think they might even add more games next year, because like I said, when you add more teams, you're gonna have to possibly add more games. So with 2 new teams coming next year, they definitely gonna have to expand the games to make it more interesting, especially for the playoff picture. And the playoffs should be more interesting this year too, because before they had 11 teams, so it was a lot easier to get in. Chicago Sky narrowly missed it. And I think if they had Angel Reese probably the last 5 games, they might have snuck in, but nevertheless they didn't get in. So it's gonna be interesting with more teams to see how this playoff picture turns out. But there's a couple of storylines for next year that I was thinking about. Um, First one was, will Nafisha Collier take the next level and be able to get over the hump and win the championship? She was narrowly there last year. Very tight series, very interesting series. I love that series that they played. She showed her toughness and heart, and I think she should have been the MVP. So will she take that next leap next year and become that MVP that we know she can be? She did get defensive player of the year, which she's the closest thing in the WNBA to a Kawhi Leonard or Paul George back in the day. Her games remind me so much of Paul George. So hopefully she can get over the hump this year and be able to do it. Will the New York Liberty retain its title? Like I said, most players say, or someone said that it's easy to win one championship, but can you go back to back? Can you win the championship when when you have the target on your back? Because we know everybody who plays you is going to give you their best shot because they want to make a point. So can the New York Liberty sustain that hunger and continue to strive and win another championship? Uh, will Caitlin Clark ascend this year, or will she hit that sophomore slump? That's a big question. She has a good team around her. Will the pieces around her stay the same? Will she continue to make those players better? Will she continue to hit those shots? She can improve on the 3-point shot. She can improve on her defense as well, but she's a superstar in this league, and she's still young, so she still has growing to do. And I'm pretty sure in this offseason she's worked hard to maintain and ascend from what she did last year. Because I feel like at this point she'll only get better, and let's hope she continues to do so. Same thing with Angel Reese. Will she continue to ascend, or will she regress to a sophomore slump? Now, with her, she needs to work on. She has the rebounding down pat. Of course, everyone can get better on defense. Will she get a post move? Will she be able to get a reliable jump shot? Those things will take her to the next level, and that's pretty much the only thing that she's missing from her game is just finding a steady way to get points. Her defense will come along as she matures in the game, but she definitely needs to work on the jump shot or work on some ways to get points, easy points in the paint. It seems like it's a struggle for her to score in the paint, and for someone of her magnitude, she can't have that deficit. Her team needs her scoring as well as her rebounding. So we'll keep an eye on the WNBA season. Like I said, opening night is May 16th. The expansion draft is tomorrow for the Golden State Valkyries. I'll be tuned in for that to see what players they get, how the pieces fit, and they still have 2 draft picks in the first round in the April's draft, I believe. So they're going to get some decent players, but to adjust to the league and adjust to the players that they have, it'll be different because all of these players will be from 12 different teams. I mean, from like 7, 8 different teams. In addition to that, they will have to draft a couple players. So they'll have a very young team and an experienced team working together who are all in, probably 12 different cities. So that's going to be a unique adjustment that doesn't happen every day. But we'll stay tuned to that, and we'll keep an eye on their season as well, on that WNBA season.